Welcome to today's session. It's becoming very hot and moving towards summer in Australia. And so I've been putting on some classes that are a combination of a cooling practice, so not over exerting, but also incorporating movement because we do have to keep moving. Somebody said motion is lotion. Um, and we will start, even having said that, in a lying down position. I have a really nice setup with some props here. I have a couple of blocks supporting a bolster. And what that does is when I'm lying down on that bolster, it lifts my chest and lets me open the top part of my chest and my lungs. And we'll do a breathing exercise with that setup. So come on onto your mats, and if you have all those props, then set yourself up well. So having a seat in front of the bolster, my buttocks right up against the bolster. I've got an extra blanket here, a yoga blanket, and if I ribbon it back on itself, I can use this long blanket to support my lower legs and my knees as I wrap it over my feet and around and underneath my knees. So I end up in a reclining position, like I said, with my chest higher than my hips, my head a little bit higher than my chest, and in an optimum position to practice a simple breath awareness exercise. So allow yourself to settle in and release your body to the soft props. And if you wish, close your eyes or cast your gaze downwards and take some normal breaths where there's no control that you're using at all initially, just breathing in and breathing out. And noticing your breath. It happens, breathing happens under the conscious level at almost all times. So paying attention to the breath is a good focusing and awareness exercise by itself. And now let's impose a pattern on the breathing that goes like this. It's an inhalation for a count of 4 and an exhalation for a count of 6. So the exhalation a little bit longer. And let's begin. So inhaling 2, 3, 4, exhaling 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, inhaling 2, 3, 4, exhaling 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, inhaling 2, 3, 4, exhaling 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and continuing in that fashion for several more cycles and settling into that breathing pattern. Make sure that suits you, that the breathing in no way is stressful for you. If you notice that it is, then back off or go back to normal breathing. let's say while we're lying here, we do 5 more cycles and counting from now for those 5 finishing cycles. Keep your shoulders relaxed and your face relaxed as well. And you're probably nearing the last of those cycles. Inhaling 2, 3, 4. Exhaling 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we'll leave it there. Allow the breath to return to your normal rhythm. And then gradually lift your knees, 2 feet on the floor. And we're going to come into a forward bend on your very conveniently placed props. Roll off your bolster to the side. And facing your support, have your knees on either side of the bolster. And then take a stretch forward. Rest your head on the side or on your forehead. And then make a transition so that you're noticing the breath in this forward bending position. So when you rest on the bolster, you can feel the breath, probably the belly, diaphragm, the chest, at the frontal body. Relax your shoulders. And then having done that nice releasing forward bend, let's come all the way up. Move your props to the side for the time being. We'll get back to them later. And then take a lying down position on your back with your legs bent and your feet on the floor. And we're going to take up some bridges. Leave your arms by your side a little bit out from your hips, and then turn your palms over and open your hands and press down a little bit through your hands, through your shoulders as well, and then release that pressure. Press your hands, press your shoulders, and then let go. One more time, opening up the top chest and feeling your arms rather muscular here, strong at the upper part of your arm, and then release. From here, let's move into a small bridge. So press your feet as well as your hands and your shoulders and begin to elevate your pelvis and come up into that small back bend. And then lower down. We could work up to a higher lift incrementally, but we're starting small. And then feet press on the inside, buttocks come up, chest opens more, and down to the ground. Let's do one more of those. And when the hips are completely elevated, merely lift your right heel. Lower your right heel. Lift your left heel. And lower down. One more time, right heel onto the balls of your right foot, and then lowering, and left heel, and a little bit more weight to the big toe side of your foot, and lower down, and coming down to ground from the upper spine to the lower spine and the sacrum. Let's set up a challenge for yourself as you press your hands down, your shoulders down, press your feet down, and then lift up. Lift your right heel. Keep contact through your shoulders, your arms, and that left foot, and lift your right foot off the floor and extend the right leg up towards the ceiling. So now you're balancing on the two limbs, arms, your left foot, and extending up your right leg. Down to ground. Pause for a moment, consolidate and make sure that your hips are level again. Lift your left heel, press your arms, press your right foot, lift your right foot off the floor and your right leg up towards the ceiling. Beautiful. And then bend that knee again, down to ground, tuck under the buttocks and lower down and all the way to resting position. Let's do one more challenge to your alignment in this pose. Press your hands and arms, press your feet, lift off, the pelvis comes up into your little bit of an arching. Carry it through towards your upper back if that feels good opening for you. And then merely slide your right foot out away from you and then pull it back in. Slide your right foot away from you. It's still, sole of the foot is on the floor. Slide it back in. All right, pause. The buttocks are still elevated. Slide your left foot away from you. Slide it back in. Left foot, reach it out. Sole of the foot maintains contact with the floor. Slide it back in. And then lower down. We do those variations to challenge your alignment, but also it builds in a little bit more strength for the hips and for the buttock muscles. And then separate your feet a little bit and rock the knees to one side and then to the other side. I like to let my neck and next time your knees come over, your left arm across and come onto all fours kneeling on your mat. So in a practice in which you want to moderate your energy, you can do this kind of practice where you're kind of staying in contact with the ground for as long as possible. So here we are, we're in neutral cat position. The spine is fairly straight and the neck is in line with the rest of the spine. Push away through your hands until your elbows want to straighten more. Chest is lifted high, and then lift the upper part of your back up towards the ceiling as you push through your hands and allow your chin to come towards your chest. Go back to neutral spine and then all over again, lifting your upper back up towards the ceiling. Push away through your arms, and then this time lift your navel up towards your spine. We carry that rounding through the upper back into our lumbar spine. And then release, neutral, spine lifts up. And then let's do a little movement back into child's pose. And With the upper part of your back still lifted, fold your buttocks back towards your heels. Before you would think about touching down towards your heels, now pull with your hands back through your elbows and your shoulders, and then come forward again. Lift the upper part of your back, tuck your navel up, push strongly through your hands, backs of your knuckles, and then lower back slightly. The upper back is still rounded, and then pulling with your hands as though your fingers were pulling back to your elbows, elbows back to your shoulders, and then rock forward again, elbows over your wrists, and then from here, let's do a little work on strengthening the legs and hips. I'm going to raise the right leg and stretch it back behind you. At this point, lift your chest and bring your sternum forward. Keep your right hip lifted only in line with your left hip, no higher. And then lower the right foot to the floor. Tuck the toes of the right foot under and lean back into your right leg and stretch that foot dorsiflexion, but also the lower leg calf muscle. And then ease forward again, both knees on the floor in a line. Keep your hips level and then begin to press through your hands and raise your left leg behind you. Invariably here, my left hip comes up higher than my right hip. So I'm going to drop down from the outside of my left hip, level my sacrum, and then from here, tuck the toes of your left foot under, bring that left foot back to ground, and then push back. Your buttocks move back a little bit, and you get a really strong flexion through your ankle and an even stronger stretch through the calf muscle. And then knees line up, and about now it would be very nice to have a break for the wrists. So lowering your buttocks back towards your heels, pull with your hands, and then pull your elbows back. Rest your forearms on the floor, and then release your head and your shoulders. Turn your palms so they face the ceiling. Lift your head and have a look at your palms, and then fold your fingers in and stretch them out. Open and close, and then replace your hands onto the floor beneath your shoulders. We've got a little bit more work to do. As I said, these are strengthening movements. Let's balance the weight on your right hand, on your both knees, and extend your left arm in front of you. Easy enough so far. And, or at least it is for me. And left hand down. I do these exercises pretty regularly. They're good ones. And extend out your right arm in front of you and both hands down. Good. What if we incorporate the leg movement and bring that left arm out in front of you? Balance your weight, right hand, left knee. Extend the left leg back behind you. Lift your chest high. Add another element. Bend the elbow in, that's your left elbow, into your chest. Bring your right knee into your chest. Bring your head in towards your knee. Stretch it out. Pull it in. Last time, stretch it out. And back to ground, knee and hand. Good. Pause. Consolidate. Adjust your alignment so the hips feel level, the shoulders feel level. And then we start with just the right arm extending. Left leg extend it behind you. Good, keep your chest up. And then pull those, flex yourself into flexion. Right arm, left leg. Stretch it out. Pull it in. Use your core muscles to do this. And then re-extend. And we're back to ground. And a well-earned child's pose. Buttocks back. Elbows down on the floor, forearms supported. Stack your hands up into light fists and rest your head onto your top hand. Let's stay here long enough so that we can let the shoulders fall out and release. Now we're working pretty slowly, thoughtfully, but if there's any irregularity in your breath, just let it smooth right out. Okay, we're doing good work. Ready to come up to standing? Let's do it through dog pose. Bring your hands forward, tuck your toes under, lift your buttocks up. And while we're here, let's do some nice things for our ankles, actually for the whole of the body, by walking the dog. One leg bends, then the other leg bends, bending and straightening. And then let's come to a standstill and walk forward. Walk your hands back. And inhale, come up with the knees bent and all the way up. I think it would be a really good thing to do a little work on our upper arms and our shoulder complex. And we'll do that through um, arm and shoulder stretch called cow's head pose or gamakasana. I know that I need a belt to do this particular stretch, so I'm going to keep it nearby. Actually, I only need it on one side, but I'm going to keep my strap right there. So, standing with your feet a little bit apart, soften at the backs of your knees, relax your shoulders. Bring your right arm up, reach up, and then reach back and fold your arms so that your hand rests on the upper part of your back. And then help it out by bringing your left hand to hold your right elbow. And then you could just give yourself a pat on the back. So it's good to have the hand flat here. We're not flexed at the wrist or anything, and the hand is flat on the upper part of the back. So adding the second part of the movement and left arm out to the side and reaching that arm back and seeing how you go to catch your fingers. If that's not successful, then you can join hands using the belt. The top arm elbow up, the bottom elbow down towards your waist. All right, and then let that go. Give a good stretch out from your shoulders, open all your fingers, and swap over. And left arm up, reach it back. Same deal. Hold the elbow and just give yourself a few pats on the back. Your hands in the center of your spine. Adding the other arm, stretch out. Rotate the shoulder forward, the arm back, and then catch hold where you can. And that might be, oh, it's a good day to join your hands. Or you might be like me, and this time on this side, I am using the belt. As much for my shoulder movement, which is pretty good, but mainly for my wrist action. And this is a good wrist stretch for me. And then let's let go of all of that. And we've got some more mobility in that upper part of our body for some slow salutes, slow and thoughtful, as I was saying. So take a chair and place it near to the wall or up against the wall. And we'll break the salutes down into parts just to start with. As a reminder, in forward bending, we're keeping a knee bend and hinging from the tops of the thighs, the bottom of the torso. So you do this along with me. So there's the knees, the hinging. Reach your hands down to the front portion sides of the chair, and then allow your head to point downwards towards the chair and your buttock bones to lift up towards the ceiling. Keep the abdomen lifted away from the thighs, and then a knee bend, unhinge, and come up and all the way standing straight. Let's do that again, and we'll add a strengthening movement that I've been working on for my hips, but we'll also incorporate the beginning of the salutes. So inhale your arms out to the side, turn your palms up towards the ceiling, and bring the arms overhead. Exhale, arms out to the side and down as you come into your folding forward. Crown of the head points downwards. Take up the hold on the sides of the chair. Balance your weight onto your left foot only. And lift your right heel off the floor. Lift your right foot off the floor. And line your knees up in one line. Feel as you drive down through your left foot, that's your weight balancing foot, that you're depending on the muscles on the outside of your hip, your glute medius muscles. Then extend that leg back behind you, flex your foot, push out through the sole of your right foot. Bend the knee in again and release your right foot to the floor. Consolidate. Your hips probably would have shifted in doing that as a compensation. Now drive down through your right foot, lift your left heel off the floor, lift your left foot off the floor, and bring your knees into a line. At this point, your left shin bone is parallel with the floor. Now we're going to push away and extend that leg back behind you. Drive down through your right heel, drop your left hip, push out through your hip to your left heel, and then bend that knee into a line with this mate. Lower down to the floor. Soften your knees, unhinge, and come up with your arms out to the side. Your arms will always help you lift and open your chest when you're releasing from the salutes. All right, let's put these together a little bit more and add a lunge. Inhale, stretch up, maybe look up. Exhale, dive forward. Take hold of the sides of the chair again. Take a reasonably big step back with your right foot. In your lunge, the left knee is bent. Draw it back slightly so it's directly above the left ankle. And then lift your chest and open it forward. Look forward. Step up, right foot to left foot. Let's take the left foot back. Keep the knee bend right leg, but draw the right thigh bone back into the hip. See if it's there for you to lift your chest a little bit more. Look out towards the distance in front of you. And then step up, left foot to right. Keep the knees soft as you bend forward. Inhale, raise your arms out to the side. Come all the way up. And exhale back to starting position, Tadasana. Inhale, stretch up. Let's add another element. Exhale, stretch forward and down. Head down, crown of your head down. Hold the sides of the chair, step back into your lunge, right foot. Now we're going to add downward facing dog pose. Step left foot back to right foot. And then give yourself a really good stretch through your arms, your shoulders. Lift your buttock bones up towards the ceiling. Step up. We're tracing our steps again. And left foot to right foot. Head down. Inhale, use your arms to lift you up. Urdhva Hastasana, we call this in Sanskrit. And exhale, arms down by the side. Let's add another element. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale, dive forward. Hold the sides of the chair, step back left foot. Keep your lunge, open your chest. Step back right foot, downward facing dog pose. Beautiful. Add the plank pose. Bring your chest forward. Keep coming forward until your shoulders are over your elbows are over your wrists. Tighten your leg muscles, tighten your buttock muscles, draw your navel up. Push back, downward facing dog pose. Beautiful. Step up, left foot forward. Keep your lunge a moment longer. Open up your chest. Step right foot to left foot. Head down, bum up. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, arms down by your side. Take a breath or two there. And here we go. And we'll put that all together. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, right foot, a big step back. Push back into the back heel, tighten the right buttock. Step back, downward facing dog pose. Exhale again. Inhale into plank pose. Hold it there. If you wish, bring your top chest a little further forward of your upper arms. Exhale, plank pose. Downward facing dog pose. Right foot forward, big step. Left foot forward, big step. Inhale, your arms help you lift and open your chest up towards the ceiling. Exhale, arms by your side. Here we go. We've added a little bit of upward facing dog pose. In breath, out breath. We'll keep moving. Left foot, inhale. Exhale, down dog. Beautiful. And then inhale, plank pose and upward facing dog pose. Look up, shoulders back. Plank pose, downward facing dog pose. A big step forward. Right foot as well. Head down, buttocks up. Inhale, lift all the way up. And exhale down. Good. Take a moment. Let's do a couple of shoulder rolls. We're asking a lot of our arms and our shoulders, but that's why we're doing this. All right, last round. We're going to add one more element. Inhale. Forward bend. Knees are soft. Holding the side of the chair, right foot back. Lean back into your back leg. Downward facing dog pose. Bringing your chest forward to plank. A little bit of upward facing dog pose, the corners of your chest back, and then plank pose. Hold it there. Lift your chest, keep it high, balance your weight onto your left foot, raise your right leg behind you. Now, I'm not raising my leg very high because it does take a lot of work. And then right foot to the floor, raise your left leg. Good, you're on the ball of your right foot, raising your left leg, the buttocks are tight. Left foot to the floor, downward facing dog pose. Step up right foot, step up left foot. Head down, lift your buttock bones high. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, arms down. All right, last round. Big breath in, full breath out. Left foot comes back into your lunge. Right knee moves back. Downward facing dog pose. The legs are on a slant here, on a diagonal slant. Draw yourself forward. Balance your weight over your wrists. Plank pose. Tighten your legs. A little bit of upward facing dog pose. Chest comes forward of your upper arms. Exhale, back to plank. We're going to lift the right leg. You're on the ball of your right foot, lifting your right leg. Keep the hips in a line. And down. And then one more time. It's much harder being on one leg than two legs. And bring that leg down. Roll back, downward facing dog pose. Step up, left foot. Step up, right foot. Hold it there. Head down. Inhale, unhinge at the hips and come all the way up, arms and arms down by your side. Good. Let's take a little bit of a forward bend release. I'm going to use the chair for this. It's a supported turtle pose. So we're going to leave the salutes behind for a moment so that you can just have a seat on your chair facing forward. Separate your feet as wide as the chair legs, or maybe a little bit wider. Turn them out slightly, so not as much as 45 degrees, but just a little. And then bring your hands into the fold at the tops of your thighs and increase that crease coming forward, and rest your elbows onto your thigh bones. We've come into a partial forward bend. Just take a moment longer to lift your tailbone. So you're coming forward, but we don't want to round in the lower back. We want to keep as much of the natural curve there as possible in the lumbar spine. Bring your hands down your legs. Hold along your legs. My arms are on the inside. And then lift up your chest. Look forward to that area in front of your mat or onto the short end of your mat. And then bring your hands all the way down. So you might be at the top of your ankles or your hands even onto the floor. Your shoulders are on the inside of your legs. And then tiptoe your hands back. Reach back to where you can. And I can take hold of the front legs of the chair. And by now I'm in a very deep forward bend. I need support for my internal organs here. I'm going to use my abdominal muscles to lift up. The navel lifts up. That space between the pubic bone and the navel lifts up, and the crown of the head points down. Tailbone up. Press your feet. Release your hands. Come onto your elbows onto your knees. Press down, lift up and out, and come all the way up. And that was a little mental health break. We're going to take up the chair again and back at the wall. Let's see. And using the chair, we're just slowing the practice down. So in this warmer weather, we're avoiding generating heating practice. And we'll use the chair for Trikonasana in that manner. So I'm facing, left side towards the chair. I'm going to step up my left foot and turn it out 90 degrees and step my right foot back about a meter from my left foot. My right foot, if I spin on the heel, I can turn my right foot in a little bit to face towards the chair. And I'm just I'm doing a trial run here, just at a distance where I can place my my left hand on the seat of the chair. And we begin from upright and balance the weight between the 2 feet. Lift the arms up. The knees are soft. We don't want to overlock the knees. And in fact, Bring your left hand onto your left hip. Lift your right arm a little higher than your shoulder, and then lengthen out for all you're worth towards the chair from the right side of your body. Bring your hand down where you found you could place it onto the seat of the chair. I'm up on my fingertips because that makes me feel a little bit lighter through my torso. And then from here, we're working to get a lateral opening. That means your side body. So from the hip crease, now we're doing a lateral bend, the top of the thigh. We're going to lengthen out that right side of your torso as much as you can. Maybe if you tiptoe your fingers forward a little bit more, you can do that. Where your hand is still onto your hip, just bring it onto your rib cage and press down a little bit through the rib cage, and that might give you a little bit more length through the underneath ribs, the right ribs. Finally, extend the left arm up towards the ceiling, roll your shoulders back away from your neck, either look forward or up towards your raised hand. Now release by pressing back into your left side, left leg, left foot. Inhale and come up. And turn your feet forward. Step back as you lower your arms. And now you'll have the back side of the pose in my rendition. So it's right foot facing the chair and step your left foot back. And we start with the weight balanced evenly on the two legs and the 2 feet. Feel for that. Left hand, left hip, I think. And extend the right arm out to the right side. Lead with your right arm. Extend out as far as you can before it's almost like you're reluctant to bring your hand down onto the chair. And then finally you do. And I'm on my fingertips. And having my left hand still on my hip, roll the left shoulder back, and then feel the weight into the back leg and left foot. From here, maybe there's a little bit more scope for the ribs on the right side stretching. Walk your fingertips out, walk your hand out, and then finally bring the left arm up towards the ceiling. When that arm is extended, make sure that you're not hunching the left shoulder. Roll it back and down. Finally, feel your weight solid through both feet. And we're going to use the raised arm and the left leg to come up. Inhaling, releasing. And exhale, arms come down and feet facing forward. Step in. And that was beautiful work. And it means that we can take it to the next step. Still using the chair. Left foot forward, right foot back. How far is my left foot away from the chair? About 6 inches. About, what is that? 12 centimeters, something like that. Right hand, right hip. Now, bend your left knee over your left ankle. A little bit of a lunge. I've just still got my hands on my hips or my arms are down. And then slide your right foot in closer to your left foot, about halfway along or a third of the way along. Reach your left hand forward like you were doing for Trikonasana, but now you're bearing weight through your left hand. And then straighten the left leg and raise your right leg behind you. See how you go to balance there. If your balance is shaky, and mine is a little bit as I'm trying to talk and do this at the same time, then you can keep that foot on the floor. Just come onto the ball of your foot or onto the back of the big toe. Or otherwise, raise that leg, extend it back behind you. And if you're solid in your balance, which I feel like I'm not quite, you might raise your right arm up towards the ceiling. And then turn your chest forward, facing the same way um, as your camera. And then right hand, right hip, right foot to the floor, slide it back and come out of your lunge, 2 hands onto your hips, and face the other way. So we're doing a supported version of the half moon pose, Ardha Chandrasana. We'll break it down into those steps. A little choreography: bend your knee, slide your back foot in, 2 feet still on the ground, release your right hand to the chair, and then lift your left heel, and if you're ready to, lift your left foot off the floor and your left leg behind you. And we're just working it out as we go along. We're not aiming for perfection or doing a perfect performance, but we're doing as best a job at exploring the pose as possible. And if you're able to hold your balance there, raise up the left arm and turn your chest. The bottom ribs come forward and the top ribs come back. It's a good thing I had the wall there for support. And then lowering your back leg, reach for the floor behind you. Release from the pose, straightening up out of your lunge, both hands to your hips. And then step your feet into center and take up your chair again. For a supported twist or a seated twist on your chair. I'm going to seat myself so that my right side is facing the back of the chair. Side saddle as I am. And then once you're seated and settled, bring your hands onto the back of the chair and begin to turn with the help of your breath. Drop your shoulders, lift your elbows a little bit, inhale and exhale and turn. Not using your hands, your arm strength so much as your breath. Inhale, exhale, turn. Inhale, exhale, and turn. And we're tending to turn from the upper part of the body where there's more mobility, neck, shoulders. One more breath like that. Inhale, exhale, turn your ribs. And then inhale, releasing, facing forward, and ready for the second side. So the main thing here, I have these specialized chairs which have no back on them, yoga chairs. But in any chair that you're sitting on, you want to have a flat seat. When you're sitting on the chair like this, that means that you can feel that your hips are well supported. You're grounded. When you look at your feet, they're flat on the ground too, and knees and feet hip width apart. Then let's go into our rotation little by little and aided by the breath. Inhale, exhale, and rotate. Inhale, and so forth. So you could use your arms, your hands, to kind of lever yourself around, but we're working more gently and more thoughtfully into this. And finally, last breath, turn your ribs, and then release. Let's go back to the original side, right side facing the back of the chair. Settle in. Hips are well supported. Your hands onto your thighs. Now, without jumping ahead, without premeditating, you're just going to stay facing the legs in this position. Relax your elbows. And then think about a different breathing pattern. When we use different breathing patterns, then we tend to focus more because it's not just falling into a perfunctory way of doing things. So the pattern is like this. We're going to inhale and exhale, and then take the rotation in the little space that opens up between the exhalation and the inhalation. If you can picture this in your mind first. Inhale, exhale, a little pause opens up, and that's where you turn. Once more, bring your hands onto the top of the chair, and let's begin. I'll call the first route. Inhale, no movement. Exhale, no movement. In that little pause now, turn slightly. And again, in that pattern. That pause is like a little parenthesis in time where you're trying to rotate. And you'll find that you can turn a little bit in a more relaxed fashion as you explore that pause. One more breath like that, one cycle of breathing. And then turn back towards your legs. Rest your hands onto your thighs. Close your eyes for a moment. Consolidate. Feel the length through the spinal column all the way to the back of the neck, the crown of the head. And then let's go for the last side. Move your buttocks around a little bit so you can feel your sitting bones on the chair. Move your feet around a little bit so you can feel your feet well supporting the legs. And hands rest onto your thighs. And then let's impose that different breathing pattern. Just bring your hands onto the top of the chair. And we inhale and we exhale, and there's no movement. And then on the little space that opens up, then we turn. And we'll take 3 more breaths like that. Beautiful. And then facing back towards your legs, rest your hands onto your thighs, drop your elbows, close your eyes again. And then come off the chair. And for today's restorative pose, we're going to use the chair to have the legs supported onto the chair, but also our bolster. And let me show you the setup. We take the bolster underneath the seat of the chair, or at least about half of it goes underneath that seat. And I'll demonstrate getting onto the bolster in the chair. So if I sit on the bolster on the near the end of it, I'm going to bring my feet forward, and they're on either side of the chair legs and the bolster. My hands supporting behind me. I'm going to move my buttocks in closer to the chair, and they're pretty much in line with the front edge of the chair seat. And then I can lower down a little bit and then lower down completely until my back is on the floor, supported by the floor. And where the bolster ends up is in the middle of your spine. or even better for me, near to my shoulder blades. So you saw me do a little adjustment. My hands supported me, lifted my buttocks, and came in closer to the chair. So this butt end of the bolster is in the middle of my shoulder blades, my arms out to the side. If I lift my legs up onto the chair at this point, I'm a relatively short stature, so this is the right configuration for me. If you're taller, you might want to have a couple of blankets on the seat of the chair. Those blankets are nice for comfort anyway. So I've gotten here. My shoulders are supported on the floor, the back of my head. If you tend to carry your head forward, you might want to have a folded blanket like a pillow underneath your head and your neck. So do the things that will generate the most comfort in your pose, because we'll be here fully for 5 minutes. If for some reason the bolster just isn't working for you at all or on this particular day, just lie without any support under your back, with your all of your torso resting on the floor. And then there's this question about what to do with your arms. So if you bring your elbows close enough to you, you can fold your arms and rest your hands onto your upper abdomen or your navel. And there's something quite comforting about making that connection through the sense of touch, not just with your physical body, but with your breath. So you can feel your breath through your hands as it comes and goes, as it goes and comes. And even sending the message through your hands to relax more and soften and settle. So every breath that you're breathing becomes more passive. You could just keep your hands there or release your arms out like Shavasana, or as I do, with a crook of the elbows, arms overhead, or one palm resting in the other. I like this because it keeps my chest open. You've been in a slight inversion for this last little while. So see if you take a few moments here to register the influence of being slightly upside down on your body has been, on your body, mind, energy. And as we begin to resurface, consider the way that you'll move out of this is to, if possible, bend your legs towards you and lift up enough so that you can pull the bolster out to the side. If that's too rugged on your back, then just slide off the bolster towards the center of the room so that in either situation you're lying with your back flat on the floor, all the way from the back of your head to your sacrum and tailbone. And we'll move out by bending the legs in and rolling to the side, not in any rush at all, coming up in a gentle fashion to a seated position. I have my bolster here that I'm going to sit on in cross-legged position, or you might find it more comfortable for your body to sit in that kneeling position that we call Virasana. So my cross-legged position, I try to keep my shin bones parallel, and then draw the buttocks out away from the sitting bones and rest your hands onto your legs. So we've traveled through quite a lot of ways of working with the body today. Through strengthening poses, there was some balancing work, there was um, coordination, working the two sides of the body contralaterally. There's quite a lot in the session. And now as we come to the end, we want to set ourselves on an even keel to get back into our everyday activities. So take a moment and maybe a moment to appreciate the benefits of the yoga practice. I often feel grateful to have had this practice, and to be practicing with others. And then finally bring your hands up and place them center chest. And as I was saying earlier, we do this in a way, not a perfunctory way, not a routine way, where the gesture is meaningful. And in many cultures, and as the way that yoga has adopted this gesture, feel into your heart center. Feel the warmth and the goodness and the kindness of your own heart. Bow to your heart. And then we send out that message to everyone, everywhere. Namaste. Thank you.